Hello, my name is Drew Sukup. On behalf of VMUG, I'd like to welcome you to today's Zadara webcast, Hybrid Cloud Storage for Virtualized Environments, presented by Steve Costigan, Senior Director of Solution Architect at Zadara. Thank you for participating in today's webcast and for your continued support in the Global VMUG program. Before we begin, I have 3 quick housekeeping items to go over. First, today's webcast will be recorded and available for you on demand. You will receive an email with the on-demand link, so keep an eye out for that. Second, a Q&A session will follow today's presentation. All questions will need to be entered into the question window near the bottom of your GoToWebinar screen, and keep the questions coming. Third, there will be a short online evaluation that pops up as you exit the webcast. Please take a minute and let us know what you thought of today's session and what you might like to see going forward. All attendees from today's webcast who opted in at registration will be entered into a raffle to win a €100 Amazon gift card. The winner will be contacted directly by Zadara, so good luck. All right, let's get started. Steve, I'll turn it over to you now.
Thanks, Drew. So I'd like to start with, obviously, this session, I want to try and make it as interactive as possible. So, if you do have those questions, and I do see them popping up, I'll try and answer them as they come in. If not, as Drew mentioned, we'll try and catch up with those at the end. So, as Drew mentioned, my name is Steve Costigan. I'm the field CTO now within Zadara, so my responsibility is to work with partners and customers and help drive the innovation that Zadara brings into the marketplace, and try and drive that in conjunction with partners like VMware, like Veeam, etc., and enable our service provider partners and end user customers to get the best and the most out of a Zadara ecosystem. So in terms of the agenda I'd like to cover is really around enterprise data management for hybrid IT, and why Zadara feels that we're a particular place and key vendor in terms of this new hybrid cloud environment that we find ourselves in, and how to enhance VMware use cases with that. And then I'm going to follow off with why partner with Zadara. And what I mean by that is, we truly believe that what we offer is a true partnership. And as you begin to understand how we do our OpEx-based service delivery model, you realize that this is a true partnership, not just a sell-to model that we operate within. And then finally, if there are some outstanding questions at the end, I'll cover those at the end of this session. Okay, so really what and why Zadara is because we're delivering a capability that gives you the control of the enterprise, i.e. delivering on-premises or in co-location facilities or via the public cloud into a number of hyperscalers, but give you the agility of the cloud, i.e. the ability to scale up and scale down and change things on demand. No longer do you have to wait for 3 or 5 year refresh cycles, because really in this modern world, things need to change. And really what we're seeing in terms of enterprise data management and delivering that with cloud economics, we've developed this capability of a multi-tier storage capability in multiple locations that is truly multi-tenanted. So those of you that are service providers, this is a true multi-tenancy. We're not taking a existing storage infrastructure and putting a cloud wrapper on it. We've designed and built this to be cloud scalable from day one, and also to build into that cloud economics. So you pay for what you use when you use it. This means that it enables you to scale up and scale down. It enables you to change the underlying technology. As we release new technology into the market, all of our customers are able to swap their current technology and replace that on demand. And this is a key element of really why Zadara is different in today's marketplace. So what is it we're actually delivering? Well, we're taking a enterprise storage capability and we're delivering any protocol: fiber channel, iSCSI, ISA, VMware in 6.7, release support for ISA as a protocol. we were one of the first storage vendors to implement ISA over RDMA over Converged Ethernet, so RoCE. We also add in a capability of deploying block and NAS capabilities and object capabilities. So those file capabilities will be NFS or CIFS. Those object capabilities are S3 and Swift compatible. So this gives you a truly scalable entity from a storage perspective, but with a single pane of management. And this means that you're able to utilize the same capabilities, whether this is on-premises into your own data center, into a service provider, as a private cloud or a public cloud offering, and also as a hybrid of that into multiple locations. Now, if we look at what's really happening in the marketplace, we're seeing this spread of IT, and it's becoming more and more complex. Some data must remain on premises. Some may go to your service provider. Some may go to a hyperscaler or public cloud. Maybe it's a SaaS service. So we're seeing this complexity in terms of data and managing data and ensuring that you've got access to it, but also securing that data. And this is where Zadara has built its enterprise cloud data storage platform to deliver a common platform across any location to deliver existing infrastructure. So where you've got existing production environments, maybe you've built things around SQL Server or Oracle, but maybe you're moving towards a more of a DevOps environment. Maybe you're running Kubernetes with VMware, or you were looking to deploy Kubernetes and container services, or maybe you're looking to provide big data analytics. And what you really need is a storage platform, a storage vendor who can help you take you on that journey. And this is where we believe, across our 9 years, we've developed a solution that started as a cloud adjacent. We've moved this as an on-premises as the hybrid IT has matured. And we've been a leader in driving that capability. But at the same time, we're also very, very focused in what we're delivering in terms of our storage infrastructure. So across the last 9 years, we started with a block capability. We then added NAS capability. We then added an object storage capability that allows us to scale. And we're seeing more and more growth around object storage. We're seeing massive petabyte, multiple petabyte environments coming into our ecosystem on a daily basis. But also, we're seeing this pull in both ways. Object storage is delivering, large masses of unstructured data, but we're also seeing the need for structured data and performance with maybe dedupe and compression capabilities. So we have our all-flash capability that delivers the ability to offer dedupe and compression on a per volume basis that you can turn on or turn off depending upon the workload. And this is a key differentiator that we bring to the market. It's not all on or all off. It's on or off on a per volume basis so that you can determine, if you're running video technology, video streaming, no point applying dedupe and compression. It's already been done at the application layer. So no point the storage wasting cycles trying to do that. But on the flip side of that, where you may have a VDI infrastructure, you may want to make use of dedupe and compression, and therefore you can turn that on for that capability. Now, the key here is that we provide complete separation from a physical resource perspective. And the way that we do that is using our patented technology. We deliver a true multi-tenant efficiency with a single tenant experience. So those of you that are service providers and want to offer dedicated resources for a particular customer, or those of you that are an internal service provider and want to have dedicated resources for a particular application, you're able to do that within a Zadara ecosystem, but still have the flexibility and the dynamics to change this at any point that you need. It's not a fixed bound configuration. So what we do underneath the covers is, we have this concept of a storage node, so software-defined storage infrastructure, and we create virtualized controllers these virtualized controllers, we have dedicated CPU, dedicated RAM, and we utilize SRIOV to inject dedicated hardware into these virtual controllers. This means we're able to bypass our own hypervisor layer underneath, and then we map physical drives to those virtual controllers. This allows a number of things. One, the security, because of complete separation and isolation. Two, control of knowing that you're dedicating the resource where you actually need the resource. And three, it means that we can have independent scalability, where we can dynamically increase the controllers. Maybe we start with 2 CPU cores, we can scale it all the way up to 48 CPU cores, and we can scale it up and down depending upon application needs. And because we're able to deliver this in terms of different resources, whether that's all flash or whether it's magnetic storage or a hybrid of SSD accelerated magnetic or object storage, it means that you can reallocate resources. So maybe you have a need that you want to put SSD into an object storage tier, for example, for a particular performance requirement. Then you can reallocate those from maybe the drives that were used for an all-flash array. You can reallocate those into an object storage tier for that purpose, if so required. And this is the key element of you're actually paying for what you use when you use it, not actually what we deploy on the floor, but actually what you consume when you allocate it to a VPSA or create that virtual storage array. Now, it's not just about hardware, it's about all of the capabilities that we build into our platform. So delivering block, file, and object, delivering that all-flash capability with SSD, thin provision volumes, which most of you around the VMware world, you're familiar with those. We support large volume sizes, so we can go up to 100 terabyte volumes in our block and NAS as a standard. If you want to use them for large scale backup repositories or archive repositories, we can go to 200 terabytes in those volume sizes. And as I mentioned, we have this ability to implement both block and NAS within the same virtual storage array, and we can tie the SMB portion of that into Active Directory, so you can provide SMB access and SMB volumes directly into your user base as well. We also have this capability of a stretched cluster, so you can create a stretched cluster across either multiple racks, multiple data centers, multiple locations from a Zadara perspective, where we'll actually stretch our infrastructure across that multiple location capability. And that then allows you to stretch your VMware cluster over the top. And then this provides a multiple data center seamless failover capability. And I'll talk about one of my key customers later on that has implemented this to deliver a very high performance capability and combined that with ISA to deliver very high performance with separation, with isolation, and the availability of multiple zones. Kubernetes support, VMware have pushed into delivering Kubernetes capabilities. We're seeing this from lots of different vendors. Zadara was very early into offering a Kubernetes CSI driver support. So, we have full functionality, full support there. So you can utilize our storage capabilities to offer CSI block volumes or NAS volumes and integrate that with our snapshot technologies to deliver capabilities around cloning, mirroring, replication to different locations. On that mirroring, we support, on top of our stretched cluster capability, snapshot-based asynchronous mirroring. That means you can mirror from location A to location B. You can also do mirroring into our object storage with instant mount, instant recovery capabilities. So again, some nice features that we've built into our platform that would certainly help vendors who are customers and service providers who are looking to make use of object storage as a native backup platform. Cluster support, if you're utilizing VMware, you want to run things like SQL failover clustering, you want to use RDMs, we fully support that. And this may introduce some capabilities where if an organization is looking to implement something like SQL Server and they don't need all of the features required from SQL Server always on replication, then you can use Zadara to provide the clustered volumes there and do failover clustering. That's going to massively reduce your SQL Server licensing. And of course, none of this would be relevant without complete separation, complete isolation, and combining that with at-rest and in-flight encryption. Now, as we create each virtual storage array, these storage arrays have their own management entity. That means that each customer or each environment can have their own individual keys that neither Zadara nor the service provider would have access to those keys if you're managing the VPSA storage array directly yourself. And the key element around that management is delivering that visibility. So a nice, clean HTML-based interface that those of you that have managed any sort of storage array in the past, you'll be familiar with the concepts of drives, RAID groups, pools, volumes, replication. We've built some really interesting capabilities, such as our remote clone capability, where we can stream a volume from one location to another instantaneously, which is great for things like recovery maybe from a ransomware attack where the primary has been compromised and you've got a backup copy in a remote location, but you want to instantly mount it. So again, some really, really different features and functionality that we've built into our stack. So as I talk about use cases and how we utilize the Zadara environment, particularly in a VMware world, we have legacy customers who have implemented Fiber Channel. They've built their infrastructure around Fiber Channel. We fully support the Fiber Channel implementation, but we also enable you to utilize Zadara as a gateway. So you may want to continue to support Fiber Channel today, but maybe at some point in the future, you want to move that infrastructure across onto an iSCSI or even an ISA network capability. And we're able to support that capability of supporting all of those protocols. Concurrently, we also enable you to offer different segments for different use cases. You've got your production environment. You may want a test and dev environment, but you want that on a completely separate network. You don't want to cross-fertilize the two. You don't want to run any concepts of somebody making a mistake or it being compromised in some way. So having this isolation and the way that we do our isolation means that you have control, but you have separation. Utilizing our snapshot capability means that you can use that for test and dev. We're fully RESTful API, so that means that you can utilize that from a scripting environment, a DevOps type environment, and we've built lots of other capabilities into our product line. Our NAS volumes, you can turn on antivirus from McAfee, and that enables you to scan the volumes that we're providing from a NAS perspective as well. Now, of course, it's not just about on-premises. We were very early into support for VMware Cloud on AWS. We've long had an attachment into AWS as a hyperscaler. Our very first installation was in AWS in Virginia and connected to another service provider at the time that was called OpSource, which was acquired by Dimension Data. So even from our very first entry into the market space, we've been hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, whatever you want to call it. So when VMware Cloud on AWS came around and there was the ability to then utilize the direct connect interfaces over NSXT, we were there from day one. We were ready to support and enabled us to provide block, NAS, and object capabilities into that VMware Cloud on AWS, whereby that may be data that is on premises in locally attached environments to the AWS region, or it may be that you're utilizing Zadara snapshots and you want to use that capability. But we've had this in production for over 2 years now as a capability. I've written a white paper on this and how to do the steps that you need to take to actually take this through from an end-to-end perspective. The nice features here is that because we've got things like a VSS hardware provider, you can take application consistent snapshots from volumes presented from Zadara and present an instantaneous clone, which is going to consume no additional block space or additional space until you actually write new data. This means that you can utilize it for test and dev, you can utilize it for production, and then you can also replicate that back to on-premises if you want. So this means that we're able to look at things like data center extensions. If you look at the regions that AWS is connected to, where there's a Zadara connection into there, you may be in that same co-location facility. You may want to utilize Zadara's VPSA technology, present storage to your VMware SDDC, and at the same time, present that as a capability over to your VMware Cloud in AWS. This means you're able to utilize a common storage infrastructure that may enable migration. It may enable you to utilize VMware Cloud on AWS as test and dev, or even as a disaster recovery environment. So bringing in that business continuity, disaster recovery capability, maybe you're on premises, you're running VMware SDDC on premises, you're utilizing Zadara on premises. Again, same OpEx model, delivered in exactly the same way, the same technology. It's just delivered into your data center. You pay for it as you use it, and you use our replication capabilities to mirror that into a hyperscaler or into one of the Zadara's service provider partners, and that then enables you to present that data up into a VMware Cloud on AWS environment, and therefore you can provide two-way protection of your data. Now, finally, in terms of running things into AWS VMware, this key element that we've been driving again for a number of years of using Windows failover clustering rather than always on clustering means that you're able to save massively on your licenses. Always on failover or always on clustering within SQL Server is almost 4 times the cost of standard edition by having the need to go to enterprise licensing. So if you've got software assurance, or if you have the ability to implement and use software assurance, then you can run a SQL Server environment inside AWS VMC. Microsoft's licensing doesn't allow you to run SQL Server and move your licenses unless you've got software assurance. So as long as you've got software assurance, you can utilize failover clustering and do this active passive capability that delivers a very, very quick failover capability across multiple locations, even if you're running multiple regions inside AWS. So in terms of cloning production volumes, we see this from lots of our customers. They may want to utilize a cloud environment. And again, if this is SQL data, this could be running VMware Cloud on AWS, or it could be a native a native AWS VPC. And therefore, you're just presenting a snapshot and a clone of that data up into a hyperscaler. The key here is utilizing our snapshot and clone capability to present a full copy of that data. You can then read and write to that clone as if it's a full volume, but you're only changing the blocks that you're actually writing, and therefore what that means is you can anomalize data, use that for GDPR compliance, etc., before you present that maybe to even a third party. But of course, all of this is great, but you've also got to provide backup capabilities. Zadara has built a very strong relationship with Veeam. Veeam is the leader in terms of VMware protection. They've been around for a long time. They've built a very, very solid 3-2-1 what most people will see as 3-2-1 protection mechanism. Really, in conjunction with Zadara, we've taken this to a new level, and this is where Veeam's zip code backup capabilities of having 3 data copies, 2 different media, one of which is offsite and one of which is immutable. So using our object storage immutability capability in conjunction with Veeam means that you're able to protect against ransomware attacks by having immutable backup data. This means that if your backup is compromised, if you're using a domain account in AD for your backups, which Veeam will tell you is probably not the best thing to do. But if you're doing that and your backup is compromised either internally or externally, it means that having an immutable copy means that you're protecting against that data being deleted by a hacker or an attacker of some sort. Then combining that with Veeam Data Labs and utilizing our VPSA on demand capabilities, where you can create a new VPSA, as long as those resources are in your cloud, that's going to take you 90 seconds or so to create a new data store that's going to be available for you to restore VMs to really, really quickly. If you need that to be SSD, you can deploy that very, very simply, very, very easily. So as a complete end-to-end story in terms of what we're doing in conjunction with Veeam, your production storage may or may not be Zadara. It may be vSAN. It may be that you're running any other vendor's production storage capability. But Zadara can sit inside alongside. We can act as that primary backup storage location to deliver you an on-premise rapid recovery platform. You can then utilize our VPSA technology either in the same location or a different location to provide a backup copy. So Veeam, if you're using Veeam 10, then you have the ability to create your primary copy onto Zadara. Your backup secondary copy could be straight to object storage, okay? Or it could be to another sober repository. That gives you that 3-2-1-1 capability. It gives you that 3-2-1-1-0 capability. Alternatively, you may decide that, okay, you want your primary backup to be on premises. You may then want to utilize a service provider and utilize Cloud Connect as that offsite copy, as that air-gapped demarcation point. If your service provider is utilizing Zadara, they can also provide that capability of offering Zadara's block capability, but also our object capability, and also offering that object immutable capabilities using Zadara's capabilities in conjunction with Veeam. Now, inside the service provider, they may be doing many, many different things. But typically what we see from a number of our service providers, especially the larger ones, they're offering a capability behind Cloud Connect where they've got a facility for shared tenants, where they're offering a scale-out backup repository for those shared tenants, but they also have some very large tenants and they want dedicated separation. So for those dedicated tenants, they're offering, a gateway, they're offering a block storage and an object storage that's dedicated to that tenant, and they can keep going that way. If they lose a tenant, if tenant B is to go away at some point in the future, then that's simply they can decommission that. They can decommission their VPSAs and the object storage that's assigned to them. They stop paying for that at that point. This is the real difference between an organization that is a true OpEx model like Zadara to an organization that's only giving you a pay-as-you-grow model. Because if you're a service provider and you lose a customer, nobody wants to lose a customer, but it's a fact of life. If you were to lose them, you want the ability to change your infrastructure to match that. And we provide that capability. And this is why I believe we are a true partner to our customers, and therefore not just a vendor that is supplying technology. So why partner with Zadara? We built this as a service provider. So we built this with the service provider in mind, but we built this in the mind that every service provider has customers. So we become the extension of you. And this is where, we're delivering a capability where we take security really, really seriously. We've taken the organization through SOC 2, through ISO 27001, through 27701. We take our security elements very, very seriously in what we do. The ability to provide separation, the ability to provide in-flight and at-rest encryption means that you're in control of it. You're controlling who has access to your data. It's not Zadara. It's not even the service provider if the service provider is giving you a direct access to a VPSA. And this is the key element, is you're always in control of what you do. Now, to back this up, we provide 24/7 management. We provide 100% uptime SLA. And this means that we're monitoring and managing the environment. We're doing all of those things that nobody wants to do anymore. We're checking for alerts, we're checking for performance, we're checking to see if any hardware is going through a period, especially with SSDs. There's a wear leveling with SSDs. You want a service provider to actually be monitoring that for you and say, hey, these drives, they're getting a high wear leveling. We need to come and replace those before you get to a failure rate. So again, this is a key element of having a service provider that is focused and dedicated to a task. Extending your team offers real value. And therefore, we can integrate that with our DevOps teams, where they can provide best practices, best guides on how to make the most of Zadara's ecosystem and our rich API to do automation. Now, in delivering this, we've built an enormous array of partners. We have over 300 locations currently through various partners, and we have thousands upon thousands of storage arrays deployed out into the marketplace. We're continuing to grow. We're growing at a phenomenal rate, but this is driven by the success that we're driving with our partners. And therefore, having a true partnership means that we're able to drive more and more success for our partners and for ourselves. But in delivering that, we're enabling you to control your data, control your costs. This ability to grow and shrink and change as technology changes really, really means that you're not having this wasted spend in terms of actual usage versus trying to figure out where you're going to be in 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years down the line. I'd ask each one of you to look back at maybe 5 years ago. Could you have predicted what your storage looks like today? Could you have predicted the growth of SSD, the growth of object storage, the type of technologies that you're using? If you can, okay, then please give me your number, because I need the lottery numbers, okay? Because it's almost impossible to be able to predict what your storage is going to look like across a 5-year period, okay? So you need an environment that's going to enable you to scale up, scale down, change the technology, because nobody knows what's around the corner. We don't know whether we're suddenly going to need to massively increase a storage environment. This COVID epidemic has meant that there's been a massive increase for the requirements for remote VDI technologies. Nobody could have predicted that, but having a technology that can underpin what you do is a really key beneficiary from driving that. Now, if we talk about upgrading your technology, you can buy the latest and greatest today, but in 6 months' time, that technology will change. New drives come out every day. If I look across the last 5 years, we've moved from mainly SAS and SATA technology with a small amount of SSD for cache. We've moved through 400 gig, 800 gig SSDs being the norm, 1.6s, 3.84s, now 7.68s, some 15 terabyte drives, etc. And really, as each of those generations have moved forward, the cost of that technology has come down. So actually being savvy in terms of having a more fluid environment and enabling that change keeps your organization very, very compliant in terms of having the latest technology available to it when it needs it, not trying to buy technology before it needs it, and also taking advantage of that changing technology when it arrives to deliver more to the business. And the other key element is, because we're delivering this in an OpEx model, that means any of the financial savvy people would be aware of, the global EBITDA changes that came around in January 2019 in terms of how a lease has to be put onto the books and written down in the same way as a capital expenditure. When you utilize a service technology that you're paying on a variable rate per month, you don't have to do that. So again, there's some real commercial reasons, not just technical reasons, on why partnering with Zadara is a good place to be, not just now, but also in the future. So we're delivering, an enterprise grade capability from a performance and a security perspective. We're giving you choice in terms of SSDs, hard disk drives. We're giving you that agility to scale up, to scale down, to change things on your demands, not ours. And we're providing that expert management where we're doing the things that people don't want to do. We're doing the firmware upgrades, we're doing the migrations, we're doing the, all of these things that people are struggling to find good storage experts to be able to do. We're the experts at what we do. So we can extend your team and enable your IT resources to focus on delivering more to the business, not delivering more to your storage. So why do our partners choose Zadara? Well, back to what we've always said, is we've built this with our customers in mind. And our customer base is vast and wide. We have some of the leading brands that you were seeing there that trust Zadara. We've just done a massive announcement with Rakuten. Their 5G network. And let's face it. The world is moving to 5G. We're underpinning their infrastructure. Look at the case studies we've done with the likes of Ancestry. These are huge organizations that are trusting Zadara with their business. So you're building on top of organizations that have built on top of Zadara. So I mentioned that there's a key service provider, K3 Business Technologies. They're a service provider in Scotland. They provide a stretched cluster capability utilizing ISA across 2 data centers, and they're able to, they've been able to move away from this EMC and NetApp environment to a completely new HADR solution, delivering more performance, delivering separation, enabling them to dedicate resources to each one of their customers. And they've got some customers that drive gigabytes per second of throughput, okay? Not gigabits, gigabytes per second of throughput. And they're also then providing recovery of that using our asynchronous mirroring technology to another location. And they're also a reseller of Zadara, where they're offering on-premises capabilities that is actually enabling them to drive new business models. They're working in conjunction with us and with Veeam and with our other partners to deliver an end-to-end solution from small businesses on-premises through to very large multinational organizations across the globe. They're a great partner for us, and we're a great partner for them. Another key one is Softcat. Softcat is a huge PLC IT vendor based in the UK. We underpin their managed services division, and we enable them to offer the same chargeback capability, the ability to scale up, to scale down, to change technology as their business and their customers' business changes. And again, the same, they have customers that are driving gigabytes per second of throughput. So again, we're able to offer that scalability and enabling them to change their operations and change the way that they do things based on business needs, not just technology needs. So if you want to know more, come please, contact us, contact the sales team, sales@zadara.com. If you want to contact me and the SA team, drop an email into sa@zadara.com, or if you want to know more about our training and how we can support you from your business perspective, support.zadara.com will give you some resources there. But please, by all means, feel free to reach out to me if you want to understand more about what Zadara does and how it does it. Okay, with that in mind, I'm at the end. Do we have any questions?
Yes, let's give a minute for questions and see if any come in.
So Drew, there's a question there about the true commercials, whether we do actually allow a customer to, stop paying when they stop utilizing that resource. And yes, we do. We don't apply a ratchet up, whereby we increase the costs and a customer can never come down. Some vendors out there, as you go, 10% above what you're using, that becomes your new line of defense. In a Zadara world, we apply a very, what we call a low floor cost, which means you're able to scale down all the way down to that minimum requirement. So again, this is about building a true relationship between us and our partners. Any other questions out there?
All right, well, Steve, you think we should give a little bit more, or do you think this might be it?
I think that's it. I think maybe people would have put the questions in if they've got any. As I say, if anybody's got any questions, please reach out.
I know we've got a quiet bunch today, but that's all right. We had our one, and thank you so much, Steve, for taking the time to speak with us today. As a reminder to our audience, you will receive a follow-up email with the on-demand link from today's webcast. To find out more about the VMUG webcast program, visit vmug.com and check out the education page. Please make sure to complete the short online evaluation that will pop up as you exit the webcast, and let us know how today's session went. And from all of us here at VMUG, thank you and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Drew.